So the long anticipated SearchGPT is finally here. It was released by OpenAI just a few days ago on July 25th of 2024. Make no mistake, this is 100% OpenAI's answer to Google. It's probably Google's biggest threat, really, to their market share since their existence. Of course, they hold roughly a sort of 80-90% share of the market, depending on which study you believe. So today I'm going to run through essentially what SearchGPT is, what are they trying to achieve, and really give you my thoughts on whether this actually is the death of Google and, you know, the death of SEO as well. So buckle up, should be a good one today. So a quick Google search of SearchGPT will bring you to their landing page. Now, they said that at the moment this is just a prototype, which means that it isn't available to the mass public. I think there's something like 10,000 users that are going to be beta testing this. But let's have a run through of what the product is and maybe where it's actually going to gain on Google. So I think there's some really interesting things here. And it starts with the opening statement. So, you know, firstly, this is a temporary prototype. So, you know, whatever they could mean by that. New AI search features that give you a fast and timely answer with clear and relevant sources. You know, this sort of indicates that the speed of Google and the relevance of Google is somewhat diminished, which is really interesting. I would have thought that they'd have played on maybe the trust factors, or we should say the lack of trust associated with Google, you know, and potentially that being the angle that they sort of take with this, but maybe not. So let's have a quick run through of how it works. So it looks like a normal search engine. You plug in a query into a box, and then as you can see, they give you a breakdown of your query with some sort of markup underneath it as well. So we haven't just got, you know, a list of links as Google first started. There is sort of some form of, you know, structured data, if I use their own terminology. Of course, one of the real sort of key things with the AI search bot, and really one of the avenues that I thought Google should have gone down, was the ability to follow up on the initial query. So of course, with Google, you enter a query, you get a list of results. If you're not happy with those results, you hit back and you retry your search, right? Obviously with AI, you can prompt underneath a prompt following the output that you get. And really, this is where I think Google should have innovated using AI. Instead of providing an answer box at the top with the goal of displacing the links below, provide the users the ability to follow up on their initial query if the results don't quite match their intent, right? And I think that would have been a very nice way to improve user experience and, of course, produce better output as well. But that wasn't the avenue they've gone down. So what we will assume here is that SearchGPT will have live access to the web, so it will be actively crawling the web, and it won't rely on a language learning model that stores historical information to give an output. So that's one interesting thing, and obviously that then opens the door to, well, you know, are they going to be crawling the web? How big's the crawler network going to be? The resource? That will be fascinating to watch play out, and whether they can actually match the crawl resource that Google have got in their armory. As I scroll down, understandably, they are playing on enhancing the conversational capabilities of search, which is what we just pointed out. That's one of the key value propositions of AI, right, is the prompt and reprompt factor that you can't do through Google, and doesn't look like you're going to ever be able to do through Google as well. But I think one thing that I just want to draw some attention to, now if I pause it right here, so firstly, when a user puts in a query into SearchGPT, it's already using, you know, essentially like a predictive text model to suggest what the query may be. So therefore, it must be tapping into an LLM somewhere. If we watch this play out, now this is going to do a search for music festivals in North Carolina in August. And these are results that they give us. So I'm just going to play this out until we've got the top three. Now, if I plug the same query into Google, it's quite interesting to see what we'd get. So we can see the first three festivals listed here. You'll notice that the top one, it gives us a period between July 29 to August 16 when this festival is running. We've then got a reference point to the website down in the corner. The second one outlines that it starts on the first Thursday in August, runs through the following Friday and the Saturday. The third one doesn't actually give us a specific date, which I thought was quite interesting. It just says that it runs through August. Now, if I jump into Google and I run the same query, I essentially get the snippet up at the top here, which gives me a list of the events. It gives me the dates. I'd also almost say it's a little bit more intuitive for me to click on the entire listing to get a little bit more information about that specific event in particular. And then obviously I can hit the down arrow and get a little bit more specificity, I think, out of this initial search. So when I compare the two, which one do I think is better? I think both can probably be improved. There's no sort of site link that points me to get tickets or anything like that. But actually, I think Google probably edge it here. Now, if I play this out and continue to see where the video goes, you'll notice that we get a panel on the left-hand side, which also gives me a list of other events. So it gives me a little bit more data that's a little bit more in tune with the results that Google give me. But again, I don't think that the result here necessarily trumps the result that Google provide. If I then scroll down the page, I get a few other examples of the AI bot in action. So we've got an example here where the query is asking when the Paris 2024 Olympics are running and essentially how France is preparing, right? Basic answer, a blue link in the corner. What I will say to this is, with a query such as this, we're essentially aiming to take users away from Google on the premise that the hit rate of the answer that Google provides isn't that great and get users using SearchGPT instead. Second point I'll say to this as well is, given this is a prototype, this is very much the V1 and there will be an evolution to this, of course. A blue link in the bottom right-hand corner, I think as a user we'd kind of evolved past, essentially having a list of links and references. So I'm not really too sure what I think about that, to be fair. I guess if a user wants the source, they've got the source there, and really that's just all it is for, right? It's just there to cite the source, not necessarily there to be clicked, so to speak. As I scroll down, there's another example here, which is a best tomatoes to grow in Minnesota. We get a list of different types of tomato with a short description, and then of course the follow-up prompt, which I think is really what the value proposition with this is. So it gives us the ability to really nail down the answer that we want from our initial query, so we can keep funneling it down, which is the beauty of AI and the beauty of prompting right. Now, one fascinating bit towards the end here is this idea that OpenAI want to work with publishers and creators. So this is almost maybe a little bit of a bash to Google that, the last couple of updates have been very much focused on the big guys, the big brands, the big publishers, owing to, the perception of them being more reputable, more trustworthy, and so Google favoring them in the search results. Actually, maybe this is an opportunity for smaller publishers to appear in the SearchGPT listing up against the bigger guys. Or maybe there's an example here, or there will be opportunities here for the smaller publishers to rank instead of maybe the more traditional bigger brands. Be really interesting to see how that plays out. And of course, that also factors into, or from an SEO perspective, well, how are SearchGPT going to define what a list of the 5 best or the 10 best type keywords and results are going to look as well. And just the last word on this, if I draw your attention to this last sentence here, where it states, now we're using AI to enhance this experience by highlighting high quality content in a conversational interface with multiple opportunities for users to engage. So this very much suggests that it's going to be more community driven, that it won't be a monopoly of sites dominating search results. And actually maybe the publishers that were possibly unjustly sort of kicked from Google's index, at least in their opinion anyway, might have an opportunity to appear in these search results. So that may be a good thing for SEOs or website owners that were relying previously on organic traffic to make a living, right? So what's going to happen to Google? What's going to happen to SEO? I've given some answers of what I think is going to happen just on the back of a postcard here, basically. So I think firstly, competition is good because it moves the industry forward. Google have not really had a credible really competitor on the search industry for some time. Of course, Bing is the second largest search engine in respect of usage, but we're still only talking sort of 10 to 12%, again, depending on which study you believe. So if we have another entrant that is bringing real innovation to the space, you would expect that to move the industry forward, which is going to be for the best of the end user. Second part to this is the concept of actually searching for a solution hasn't changed. And of course, the usage has just shifted elsewhere. So the concept of a person using a search engine, this hasn't changed that. They're just using a different search engine, right? So there are likely still going to be factors that come into optimizing for that search engine, and what those things may be will become apparent over time. But this isn't removing the idea of someone using search to get an answer to a query. Now, it's also not immediately obvious how this is going to work for e-commerce. So if you search MacBook Pro in Google, let's go below the paid listings. We have some markup here that essentially gives you a range of items from that query with a price, with a set of reviews that you can click, get a bit more info out of, and subsequently go to purchase. All the examples we saw on SearchGPT were very much information-led. They weren't really keywords searched that might indicate some sort of commercial intent behind them, or indicate a user was in the mindset to buy or sign up to something, right? So I think that bit still feels like there's a bit of a grey area, and it's hard to picture, knowing what we do about ChatGPT, how the format of that will actually play out. So I think that's one sort of relatively big consideration in that respect. And I'm sure that there's many other sort of industries that this sort of plays into as well, right? If you do a branded search, are we just sort of left with description of the company and then click to that brand in the corner here in a blue link? Whereas now, obviously, with Google, you have knowledge panel, you have your site links, and we've become very much accustomed to that. And I think trying to take users away from that to arguably a worse experience might not be the card to play here, right? And I think this feeds into the final point of, do users want a traditional list of links with a description? Of course, it's great we can follow up, but with Google, if we're looking for a solution, we're given a set of reviews, maybe we're given contact numbers, we're given site links. We've got a lot of markup within a traditional SERP now, and very rarely will you just find a SERP that is just a list of 10 blue links, because users want to have evolved past that, where they want the answer sooner. So that bit I don't think is immediately clear, but I will add the caveat that, of course, this is a prototype, it's a V1, and I would expect that to evolve over time. And it brings us back to that first point again, where the new entrant will pioneer innovation and evolution, probably across not just Google, but actually across SearchGPT as well. So I think for me, the bottom line is, I don't believe this is the end for Google. I do not believe this is the end for SEO. And actually, it should be for the best of the user trying to search a query, right? So that about wraps it up. If you've enjoyed this video, as always, please subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.